Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Marina Gonzalez in Argentina, Judy in Germany, Anthony in Lima, Emily in Mexico, Ruben in Lima, Raj in Canada, Valeria Kaplan in
Buenos Aires, Argentina.
In Argentina too, Teresa in Piura, Cecilia in
Chiclayo.
In Chiclayo, La Tierra de la Amistad, Friendship City. Mar Moore in Argentina too, right? Your friend, Marina?
Sorry, my real name is Maria Marta. Marmore is my Facebook nickname, let's say.
Okay, Maria Marta Serra Lima.
Maria Marta Mora. No.
And Lucy Emily in Arequipa, I guess?
No, in Lima, but my family are from Arequipa for that reason.
I knew. Aura Elena in Piura, and Tania, where are you from?
Check you.
Tania?
What is he?
I don't know. Well, good morning, everyone. Today is another beautiful Sunday, and today is the 26th of July, the last meeting of this month. And today we have another wonderful, marvelous speaker. This time is Marina Gonzalez from Argentina. Let me tell you a little bit about Marina. She's an EFL teacher and program administrator specialized in university settings based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. She coordinates the language program at Universidad Nacional de J.C, UNPAZ, one of the youngest state universities in the province of Buenos Aires. Her main concern is the development of the EFL area in Latin America, particularly in adult population, that's me, in state programs. She has designed and run various language programs at different universities, taught ELT management and material design for about 10 years, and now she focuses on the design and growth of new spaces in EFL. Very interesting. Let's give a virtual round of applause to welcome Marina.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marina, for your time, your ideas, your expertise, and your time again. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the invitation, Jaime. I just love this opening that you make and the opportunity to share with colleagues that are not that I wouldn't have the possibility to reach in other ways. So thank you very much. And if you want, we can get started with the topics for today.
Do as you please.
Okay, so I'm going to share. Just one. Let me start presenting. Okay. Can you see well? Okay,
Yeah,
I hope I can move it. But when Jaime invited me to this meeting, I told him that it was the pandemic had already struck, and I had been listening to things and around, and I said, look, Jaime, maybe what I want to talk about is about this thing of taking a different look at things in a way. And what I thought was this idea of finding opportunities in times of chaos, all right? Because I don't know if it happened to all of you, and I would love to hear you. The first thing was a lot of negative comments, a lot of stress, a lot of panic. But in Latin America, this is different because we are used to chaos. The chaos of all sorts are not, I mean, it is not something that we cannot overcome. So we generally may have one attitude and then we reorganize and find some way out. But the first images, can you tell me what you see in the images that I put on the first slide? What do they recall in you?
Okay, dear friends,
Can you
time to talk.
Yeah.
Hello, Marina. I can see the map
where we can see all the areas where the COVID has been, I think.
Okay, all
Then we
right.
can
That's
see
what I
Dracula. Okay, like giving some extra power to us.
Okay.
Is it
Somebody,
giving or extracting?
again,
Is it giving or taking from?
I think taken from us.
Uh-huh.
Our energy, probably. Yeah, okay, that's
Okay,
it.
all right.
Then a lady that who is fainted, I think so.
Okay.
Then
And is there
She's
anything
upside down,
particular?
isn't she?
Well,
Sort of
but
upside
basically,
down.
she's fainted. I mean, all her energy has drained.
uh-huh.
All right, she has no more energy.
Okay.
And anything particular about the globe, about the other map, about the map on the upper part? Is it the common representation of the world that we generally see?
No, we usually
it's
see
upside down, I think.
America. Yeah.
Any other option?
From the top, no?
From the north.
From the north.
Okay.
There are no green areas, no green areas.
No green areas at all. But basically, it's a political map, not a physical map. But the point is that it covers the north. It's the northern hemisphere. And in a way, well, these what I wanted was to somehow open some of the things that were related, not only the times of the pandemic in general, how it struck, but also where, I mean, the feeling of people in general, this idea of being left without energy, and not because it's that they used it, but because some other people were taking the energy away from, and that has to do many times with bad management. And also that most of the discourse that we heard and the panic and the problems came from the north, because the north and mostly Europe is the center of, I mean, suffered the pandemic in a way that affected the business. Okay, so, and I'm sorry, something that I forgot to say is that the idea is that this is a very relaxed talk because I cannot bear any more pressure in life.
Don't worry, don't worry.
You're more than welcome. And as I was said, the idea was to share, to give this as you recognize the space, to respect what the space is about, and to create new ways of communication. All right. So how I came to this talk, basically the first thing that was obvious in the times was teachers' exhaustion. Whenever you talk to a teacher, they said that they couldn't take it anymore, that they were working more hours, that they couldn't differentiate weekends from weekdays, that morning a day or whatever was exactly the same. What's more, in the time, well, we've been in lockdown for 4 months already. We are experts in lockdown, but at the beginning, people tried to be very strong in terms of respecting the times of work. And now you see that people are starting to stay up later and then wake up later. So messages come out at 1 o'clock in the morning, all right? Or emails arrive at that time, and it's not because the people don't respect, it's that they are working at that time because it's a time that fits them. So the concept of time has changed, and this is obviously something that creates a feeling of exhaustion. And in a way, from the many factors that create this, one of them, and I think that the worst is the idea of the social media exposure, right? All this of the excess and the lack of limitation in messages provided by social media, okay, creating this constant fear. And of course, from where I live, I realize that whatever you say to certain people some people will not accept it and be dangerous for the others. But anyway, it's like you don't go to work, you're all the time at home, and you use social media much more than you would. So then that creates a feeling of exposure. Workplace demands, and this is mostly related to my area of management, and that is some managers started demanding nonstop, and it was not necessary, but was the result of their own fear. And they were not being careful, or they were not caring about their teachers. And this is something that has really affected a lot of people. Other thing that I felt was that there was an over offer of professional training. It's like there is a lot of argument in terms of whenever there is a problem in the world, the answer seems to be train the teachers, right? We are like an area to be constantly trained, and not to be asked, not to share, not to build on our previous knowledge. No, some expert is going to come and tell us what to do. And it's like, of course, it's impossible for people not to feel overburdened. And the other thing, I didn't share this with Jaime, but he knows that I am part of the committee in IATEFL of leadership and management. And there was a very interesting project as for COVID-19, and there was a Facebook group discussion. And what started to happen to me was that the complaints or the fears of people in Europe did not represent me at all. So I underwent a number of different moments in which first I was angry, then I said, but why am I angry? Because, well, I'm used to reflecting, right? But I said, no, what happens here is that I am not represented, because my Latin American nature and my Latin American reality is not that important to the issues that are being discussed in this place. So it's perfect. It's not, it doesn't build anything if I get angry with them. What I need is to create our own space and to make it even stronger, our need to have our very own voices, okay? And that is where we started thinking about this talk, okay? I don't know if any of you have had similar feelings in feeling underrepresented in the discussions taking place, not of course in this space, but in general things featured in social media. If anybody wants to share or say if yes or no, more than welcome.
Go ahead. No, after you, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, it has happened a long time ago, right? What we have learned is to listen, to learn, and to adapt. You know, because realities are totally different, not only now because COVID-19, but realities, education in Europe and England is totally different to Latin America. And we have just to pick the things that are useful, and if they work, perfect. If they don't, okay, let's try something different.
We have to be trained again.
Exactly. Thank you.
I think, yeah, that's the old paradigm of the people who are supervising or managers know what's best. So they'll tell us what to do. And we are wanting to shift that paradigm. And I like to say, ask, not tell, you know. So if we can really shift to that thinking that others also have something to offer. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Anybody else? Yeah.
Yes. The thing is, okay, I thought it was a problem only in some countries, but I've seen this is global. And the thing is that we as academics, starting with preschool teachers, are always under the control of an administrative staff and everything. So we need to be told what to do. Okay, so we are never mature enough to know what we know. So that we are always needing somebody to tell us what to do. And that's, as you said, even with, independently of the number of years of experience, you still have to learn, and that's true. But what we needed to learn is how to use these devices and everything, but not teaching again. Not to make our things that we have always do. We have to adapt them, but not relearn starting from zero. And that was the biggest problem. The problem is they thought they were losing control, and that is the biggest problem.
Okay, so then let's move on. Thanks for the fantastic feedback. One thing, and Jaime mentioned our dear Araceli, in a recent interview, she was talking about what the situation in COVID-19 presented, and she mentioned this beautiful phrase, which is, we are teaching our reactions to a crisis. We are teaching I'm sorry, I can't see it. Okay, we're teaching the value of helping each other. Okay, and I think that in a way this is related to some of the things that you said. And as I told you, I was thinking about my role as a manager, and this is my point. I have always been an academic manager, and I started thinking that I don't feel so good with the term managers, because of what you say, right? Telling others what to do, not listening, just giving them, instructing top down constantly. And I think that times like this call for us managers or program administrators, which are horrible words that don't come from teaching but come from organization, to the idea of pedagogical support and enhancement. If an academic manager is something, it should be somebody, and there is a very interesting, and a person I admire, who's Andy Hockley, and he has created a chart in which where he explains the organization of a language teaching institute, where he places he creates an inverted pyramid, and the top of the pyramid, the observable thing, is teachers, and managers are below that, because and this is very important in terms of, not only in terms of image, but also in terms of what the job of the manager is. Okay, it's the idea, you are there for teachers to shine. You're not to tell teachers what to do, because that is something that you have to decide when you hire people, not hire people that you're not satisfied with, and then pester them or be all the time behind them telling them that you're not satisfied. That is not good. That doesn't make anybody be better. Okay, they may manage to comply with your requirements, but they are not going to be their best. So in this sense of considering academic management as pedagogical support and enhancement, what are the things, and that was the title of the, or what that was published from the talk, what can we do, right, in terms of crisis? And basically, I just came out with a list of things to do and things that we should make space for. Okay, with this psychological idea of making space. You know that there is a theory of detachment, in which if you make the space, it's like your action is your action of not doing, so that your not doing allows for somebody else's doing. Okay, and this is a big challenge for academic managers, because we've been trained, and in a way we have been selected because we were bossy somehow, right? Or because we didn't have any problem in telling other people what to do. So of course that implies that you manage power, all right? That you decide to be the buffer of power between demands and teachers, okay? So some actions that to do. First of all is to trust your people, right? Trust is crucial. If you don't trust, if there is a crisis and you think that the people with whom you work are not good enough, then you're going to be in trouble. Then by trust, after trusting, you need to support. It's just give them all the elements that they need and not give them more than what they need, because this is a problem. One of the biggest problems that we've had is that teachers were they were baffled at the excessive number of tools that overlapped with each other. And this is something that I've experienced many times when teaching as materials design. I used to teach materials design to teachers, and what I told them was that they needed to understand the purpose of technology, and then you can choose the product, but you cannot start from the product into the topic. I don't know if I'm clear. That is, you have video tools, interactive tools, writing tools. And then from the writing tools, typical discussion for all of us, all right? Video conferencing, Zoom, Jitsi, or Google Meet, okay? Now, you start from video conferencing, not from Google Meet versus Zoom. Because if you're discussing the name of the product, you don't have your priorities clear. And really, many times, it all depends on your university. For example, the university where I work, which is in a suburban area, low income, and most of our students had to face this idea of learning in a distance mode when the only thing that they had was their cell phone, okay? Or when we have one computer per family. It is absolutely different to discuss distance education in this setting than with people who have a cell phone, a computer per person in their families, okay? So these are, if this happens to the students, why don't we think that this also happens to your teachers? How many teachers had the necessary technology to face teaching online, plus all the extra expenses that came, right? Because it was paying it for internet, or maybe having trying to change their plan to a more expensive one. Okay, so these are very, very important things that we need to produce. For example, my university, and I'm very proud of this, was and because there is a very important union, they were all of us had to work from home, and they checked that employees have a computer, and if they didn't have one, they lent them one to be able to work. Okay.
Public university or private university?
No, public university. Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, because it's ideological. It's an ideological choice. This is important. And this is where we have to start. And I think that when we discuss many times on public versus private, this is considering that public is bad and private is good, is a discourse from the North. I mean, both can be good, but public is not necessarily bad. So then, well, of course, respecting the times of people, all right? It's not asking them something for tomorrow, because it's impossible. For example, I am in charge of my mother, okay? She is quite old. It demands a lot of time. If somebody asks me for something in 2 hours, I cannot respond, because the worlds, the professional and the private world have become one, and then we need to understand. That is why we also have to relieve people from bureaucratic tasks. I have seen so many teachers tired because they have to complete forms and forms and reports on things that they cannot. Even my very own daughter, who's a primary school teacher, and she has to be in contact with her students, but some of their students cannot be reached. And then what kind of report? I mean, what is the meaning of filling a report on somebody that you cannot reach?
And you know what? And you know what, Marina? Sorry, I know some friends of mine who have meetings at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. when they are free of their housework, their classes,
Yes.
and the administrators of the schools or the institute, usually schools. That's the time when they are free. Free, my goodness, but they are dead tired, exhausted, and emotionally, as you said, some of them cry because they are not understood, because of the salary and things like that. It's really crazy. Yes, Rosemary Rivera in Bolivia. Welcome, Rosemary.
Welcome, Rosemary. This is absolute, and I know that universities have acted different from schools, but many schools have gone crazy. They have lost all respect, but not because they are mean. It's because there is lack of strategic planning. This is the point. It's many times in schools you have people in charge of hierarchical positions that do not have a managerial training in terms of stopping and saying this is possible, this is not possible. They just implement, and this is how they are killing our teachers. This is what happens, because another reality that we all have is that in Latin America, if I may ask, how many of you have only one job?
Only one job?
Yes, only one job.
Me, for example.
Okay, but most of us, maybe because of our experience, etc., we may have one or two, but our teachers tend to work for 3 or 4 places. Okay, so imagine if the demands of one crazy school, you multiply it by 3, that teacher cannot live. All right, so this is very important. So then that's why it goes to focusing on the important, okay? Creating dialogue, listening before offering, which is, I think, a bit what you mentioned, Roxanne, okay? It's not say, it's wait, create a dialogue, all right? What you want, what you're going to offer. I mean, if you if you want to tell them what video conferencing program they need to use, you need to know how much they know about it, okay? And the ones that they are used to, and then you have to come to an agreement on what is institutionally relevant, all right? For example, in our case, the use of Zoom, we cannot pay the account of Zoom, so we're using the free versions of Zoom, okay? But we prefer Zoom to Google Meet because of the breakout rooms, because we can do pair work, okay? Now, if I didn't listen to my teachers and told them Google Meet for everybody, all right? And somebody knew how to use, I am missing an opportunity. And so this is what we could call like good practices in a way of management in times of crisis, all right? And then of course, negotiate. You have some ideas, but if, I don't know, are you going to lose time discussing between Genially and Canva? It doesn't matter. The person feels more comfortable with that. It's like discussing or arguing whether Word is better than the free software for writing, okay? And the other thing, which is not the last, but it tends to take place later, which is thank, right? We many times forget to thank people for the effort that they're making, for being there, okay? So this is something that we as managers, or those of us who are managers, need to include. And the other more important thing is the idea of making space for interaction among them. I mean, when you move away and you let them work together, interaction grows. I don't know if it happens to you, but I know, and people who have worked with me have heard me say that I wish they talked among themselves, that I could be and hear them talk about among themselves the way that they do when I am not, because their dialogues are much more, much richer. I mean, lately what I tend to do is I leave. I'm in a meeting, and I stop and I just send the ball to the other side, and I just listen.
Okay, Marina, sorry. Edison in Ecuador has a comment. Edison, Santa Cruz.
And thank you again. The problem is that they don't prioritize one or maximum two platforms or something. The idea is that if we as mandatory, we have to use three. You have to use Moodle, we have to use Teams, and we have to use the Cambridge platform.
You have to?
We have to, and then we have to present reports, okay? As if we were in a face-to-face situation, we have to send 3 copies of every report, and reports come every week. We have to have the screenshots of the classes, screenshots of the calendar, screenshots of things, evidence. It's like, you see, so I teach only 8 hours a week, and it's my only job, plus some translation I get from time to time. But for these 8 hours a week that I teach, I need like 40 for everything I have to do with that.
So, because it is exactly what I'm saying. That is a problem of the amount of how much management thinks of you. I mean, that is a poor synthesis. That is somebody in charge of deciding what teachers were supposed to do did not think of the people. All right. I mean, what you say is, in terms of course design, it's bad course design. I mean, and if you have 3 platforms, which is crazy, but if you're using the platforms, then your activity in the platforms should serve as report. But adding your creation of reports, I mean, this is what I say, which is, I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's this problem of trying to quantify over what is quantifiable. I mean, we are living in a situation of trauma. A global pandemic is a situation of trauma. Yeah. So then you have to understand and you have to think of all the choices and all the possibilities. One of your possibilities, Edison, is what we call bottom-up management. And bottom-up management means giving feedback to your management in terms of how difficult it becomes for you to cope with all these, and of course to suggest changes. I don't know how the organization reacts to these things, but if you only accept the situation, it doesn't build. And of course, it fits into one of the discussions that has been taken place, that is the discussion whether we are doing distance learning or emergency remote teaching. Have you heard that? That they say that we're not teaching distance, we are doing emergency remote teaching, which is again another way of just not giving the importance to what we are doing, right? Of course, those who have worked with distance teaching for a long time, they know that you design a full course, all of the activities before facing the situation, and that most of the people everywhere had to change the format of their classes in 15 days. Okay, now this does, but the biggest problem here is that managers could have stopped things and said, wait, we don't have 1 week. We are going to postpone for 3 weeks because our team needs 3 weeks to understand what they are going to do. And then face things, and for management to take to make their choices and to adapt and to change. Okay, because what I might be able to read from what you say, Edison, is that no change was made from management. You were asked to do exactly the same, but from your home and without any support. Okay, am I missing the point, or is it along what you meant?
The thing is that that is exactly what happens, and the problem is, I've seen this in all my, everywhere in Ecuador, and at least in the city, because my son is also a professor at another university, and the university I used to teach before, private university, and it's exactly the same. Everybody now is in a vacation, but he's teaching summer class, and then so he hasn't had, because he's the new one.
That is so typical of teachers.
So
the new one has to pay.
He's doing, and he's been working there for 5 years, and then, but he's the new one. So everybody's on a vacation, including administrative staff, but he's teaching his class, and he has to have all the evidence until this Friday, because the course finishes Friday, and they start class, the semester, like the 20th of August. So and he has the right to 40 days of vacation. Where can he get the 40 days of vacation? Annual vacation, where, when? So it's like, so it's crazy, as you said. And
yes,
they don't understand. It's just simply, you used to do that, you are going to do that plus this. Doing the same, but adding some other things. And it's seen public, private, higher, lower, everything.
Yes, absolutely.
It's happening exactly the same thing.
Absolutely. And this is why, if I were able to go back, I think that this is the point, right? That they're using management and not the concept of pedagogical support and enhancement. They are not supporting and they are not enhancing the work of teachers. And this is what is draining, because your son will probably get ill. I mean, he will, and we all know that. I hope not, of course, but he will be tired. And we know that most of younger people who come to the profession stay in the profession for 5 or 6 years, and then many of them move to other actions. So why should we continue with practices as this one that are so bad? I mean, they are not enhancing. They don't make people feel better and want to continue with teaching. So in a way, this is it. And I think that this is what I want to share with you. That is, let's start thinking of the things that we can change. We can change. Nobody says that this is the only possibility in life. This is, it's not that managing an organization implies getting all from the people and not giving them things, okay? So that's why, because if we give them things, we are going to have these possibilities of team building. But for example, your son is alone. Who's he going to build a team with? Right? I mean, he has the whole responsibility of the organization on his shoulders. It's ridiculous, okay? And of course, yes, creativity happens, but it happens in society. It happens when you are part of something. It's very difficult to be creative in terms of teaching when you're alone. And of course, there is not going to be identity if you cannot work with others, because you're desperate just covering for things. So, trying to move on.
We can take advantage here, and Rosemary Rivera has a comment to make.
Yes.
Yeah, Rosemary?
Yes, as I was listening to this super interesting commentaries that you make, I was like, okay, management has to change. And I say, okay, those are two words that are like happily married, an oxymoron here in Bolivia, right? It's like, no, they are set in their ways, and they would ask you for, like Edson mentioned, for a report. They would ask you to upload pictures of your book to your Google Classroom for students to see. I'm like, why? Students have their books. You have your books.
They have the books.
Yeah, students have their books. You have your book, and actually there is a PDF version of the book, but they want you to upload at the moment you are going to teach, because that reflects that you actually did something. It's just what you said. So it's
that you
weird.
actually did something.
Yeah, I said new oxymoron, changing management.
Right.
It's like happily married, Salvation Army, those words that make absolutely no sense together. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I do think that management can change. What happens is that people, the problem is who is a manager. I mean, when you are a manager and you can deal with power, then you can be humane in your handling of power. But if you use management as a tool for power, where you defend from those who work with you, then you produce that state, because that is the status quo, what you're mentioning, Rosemary. And the idea is that this is what we don't want, because it doesn't work, because it's not effective.
It doesn't. I totally agree with you. The other day I was watching a webinar from Tecnológico de Monterrey, and I stumbled upon this. Bosses mention what you just said. Bosses use power, but leaders give purpose. So and that's the difference, right? I'm the boss. I have the power. You have to do this. No, I'm the boss. I don't have the power, but I would like you to tell me what your purpose is, and then we go from there, right?
Anna has also a comment to make. Sorry, Marina, and thank you. Anna?
Anita.
Anna in Colombia. Ah, it's Anita.
Anita.
You are late, Anita. You are late.
No, I have problems with the connection. I had problems with the connection, and I was trying to watch on. I couldn't.
I'm just behaving like a manager.
Oh my God.
Like a bad manager. Like a poor manager.
My dear Marina, I know that you are an expert in this, and I really love what you are talking about, what I heard, because I just connected like a few minutes ago. And I totally agree with you, because, the impact that, and the changes, okay, better. The changes you have in the management and in the leaders staff impacts highly in, for example, in teachers and even in students. When you are in a project, for example, I talk according to my experience. When you are developing a project, the first part or the first people you work with are the leaders, okay, deans, etc. Why? Because the impact and per se, like the orders or the commands they said, they are already followed by others, you know, so they are the leaders. So if we change the way we manage and we lead, for sure we are going to have changes in students and teachers, you know. So this is something that sometimes leaders in schools, they are not aware, because they think that everything is in charge of teachers and the students, etc. But no, the beginning of everything are the leaders. You know?
Yep. In general, all these horrible stories of excruciating pain from teachers come from poor management. Come from people who do not know how to lead. And they don't take the time. What they do is a crisis or a problem appears, and what they do is they pass it on. They don't take it, they don't shape it, they don't divide it into pieces that can be accepted and digested by others. They just throw it. It's like the hot ball, right? And that is not management. That is not management at all. Okay. So
anger management, maybe.
In that way, so we have different types of leaders. In that way, we have
anger management. Yes,
leaders. We have the positive leaders, the negative leaders, and the impact and the like today I'm crazy. Like the you know, the image or the reflect that a school, for example, has for others is what is happening inside, and it starts in the management and in the leadership, the people who is like in charge of crucial things or crucial decisions. Everything get reflected in the rest, you know.
Sorry, Anthony Michael has been waiting for a short, brief comment. Anthony Michael, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Marina, and thank you, Ms. Anna, for the contribution. Definitely, the paradigms of management, the paradigms of systems are shaking. Everything changed, really. From my own personal experience, lenient directors or directresses have become strict. Strict ones have become stricter. Stricter ones have become strictest. Parents' pressure have heightened. A lot of things are happening. But what I ask myself based on this beautiful topic Ms. Marina is discussing today is, in all of this, what have I taken? What is it that I'm going to gain? I remember that I was together with Jaime and Ruben early this year, specifically in February. None of us discussed that we will become online teachers. None of us. In everything we were discussing what we are going to do. Nobody was saying that we are going to have a kind of online teaching. We never knew that this kind of thing will happen. But today, I am an online teacher with no certificate. I can now do some things. I love that. I never knew before. I've come to realize or learn some apps that I never learned, or I never knew, I never planned to learn. To learn a different way of approach of teaching, a different way of talking to my students, a different way of responding to the pressures I get from parents and from my the director, my accessorial, my coordinators. Everything is on my head. So these are some of the things I have taken away. Another beautiful thing from this situation is also have become more empathy, becoming more empathy and loving and patient, and also becoming, instead of focusing on what my students will get at the end of the day, I'm also focusing on now what all of us will get, not longer my students, but as a family. So these are some of the things I have also gained in this crisis, in this chaotic situation. And as you can see, we are really, really in a very tough situation. So I thank you for this beautiful topic. And I believe that each of us have gained something too from this chaotic situation. Thank you.
Thanks very much for
Yeah,
your
sure.
concept,
Mm.
because what you're saying is something that Gabriel Diaz Maggioli has been mentioning a lot, and we've been working on that related to professional development. I mean, one of the things that he mentioned in his book, I think it was 2012, the idea of innovative professional development. That it's very difficult to explain this, but an example as yours is the perfect example, because it is professional development lies within you. You don't need anybody to tell you. And this is what happens when you, in face of a situation of challenge, you are able to change, to create a new self or a new version or side of yourself, and be able to, and you are able to see that you have taken earnings from it, you are professionally developing. And you are doing it really innovatively. This is completely different from the training that I mentioned at the beginning, that they, whenever there's a crisis, they want to train us, right? What you did it yourself, because you are conscious of who you are. And any manager who is in charge of your work should be aware of the special person he has in you, and should allow for you to thrive, right? But I don't know if this happens, and we never know if this is so. Probably you're overburdened. So what we're trying to somehow do is to create a consciousness of what good teachers need to work well, so that they can also inform their managers that they need to be managers at the level of the good teachers that they have, right? And not kill them in meaningless things, okay? So if you want, I'm going to cover the second part, which is opening the perspective a little bit more, and probably we'll continue this in October, right? But it's where the discussion on ELT management is today, okay? Because when there's a lot of talk about teaching, etc., but what happens? Because it opened up, it started, okay? And it started as a result of the shock, okay? And at first it was humanitarian, because some managers worldwide, and I say this from what I have been able to observe in the IATEVO community, they started seeing that they needed support from each other, because many managers didn't know what to do. So first of all, the idea was purely humanitarian, and now it's changing more into the challenges of the business, okay? And something that is also very important when we talk about management, and that's what related to what Rosemary talks about when she mentions management, is that we need to understand that the origin of the business of English language teaching is a country business, all right? It's the business of exporting the language as a service, or selling the language of a country as a service. And the pandemic has created a very, very big challenge in the business. So then, this is also important, because when we talk about education from Latin America, we talk about primary, secondary school, we talk about what is called gestión educativa, right? That is the management of schools and the administration, and also a very important line that is ruled by the state. But whenever we talk about management in ELT, it's the management of private schools. It's the creation of benefit of a business, okay? And this is why it sounds so harsh, so strong, so directed, okay? Not so creating, but our reality in Latin America is absolutely different, because the biggest percentage, or the most representative institutions that we have, are schools and universities. The private sector is a sector, and it's one thing, but it's not the key to English language teaching, okay? So then the discussion that is taking place in the world, in our case, is different. And just to show you some voices, because some of the things that we say and what we want to people to consider from what we have to say is also being shared around the world. One of the things, I don't know, you must know Lourdes Ortega. She's one of, at least for me, she's a Spanish-speaking pride, all right? She's one of the highest specialists in second language acquisition. She teaches the postdoctorate in Georgetown. And there is, for example, the initiative of multilingual, I don't remember. And that is applying tools of applied linguistics to discuss the issue of social justice, okay? When did we ever think about including social justice in our agenda? When it is our reality, because Latin America is a continent that suffers from social justice, and our students suffer this, and the fact that our teachers have 3 or 4 jobs are an issue of social justice. Okay, we also, so we at this time we are having discussions of this sort, right? Then the people from the LAMSEG, okay, created this community, you see, where people can share, ask questions, tell stories, okay? This idea of creating a community. And at the same time, we have Africa TISO, who is building with a variety of experts. And here we have the picture of Araceli, because she was present in this last session of the Africa TISO panels.
And she's present now. She's following us in Facebook. She's listening to us.
Great. Well, a pleasure really. And also somebody I got to meet from in the LAMSEG group, which is Michelle Cristiano, who's a Brazilian teacher working in Australia, who's really active in producing blogs and writing. And for example, she's warning about a very interesting element that we will discuss later on in October, but it's the idea of, as we go back to the new normal, schools are starting to think about ways to increase their number of students. And she's talking about the reality of the US, UK, Australia, right? And an unfortunate and unethical way of doing this is by advertising their native speakers as a way of finding a better way to advertise their courses, okay? With a product differentiation, okay? Well, this is what she was trying to say. But if we see, what I want you to say is that today there is a discussion on ELT, that the business of ELT is challenged in the countries that produce this product, mostly because they are in pandemic, because they cannot receive the students that they used to receive, and they need to find new models of business. One of the first models of business is going to be distance teaching. And this brings into play our own agenda. That is, are we going to buy canned products, or are we going to discuss what we want? So the challenges, okay, summarizing this, the challenges that we have is the rebirth of native speakerism for marketing purposes. What are we going to do with this as institutions, as teachers, as managers who have to provide their teachers with support? Another problem is the prejudice against migrants, okay, both as teachers and students. Okay, this is a challenge that lies ahead. The American government is a clear situation for this. Okay, you remember international students that were almost about to have to leave back to their home countries because they didn't want to grant them their visa if they were having online classes. So this is part of what the pandemic has changed in the world that we are living now. The need of language schools in English-speaking countries to go back to normal. Okay, that's what I say. That is, the UK business and the US and and Australian business of language teaching relies on a lot of people coming to study English and to feel the native experience. Now, if they cannot receive people, what are they going to do? And then, and the important question for us is, who do we want to be in the near future? Because our realities are different. And we have a world of choices. Because really, only if you are in the biggest challenge lies if you are only in the private sector for a upper level or upper economic classes, because in that place you are another choice of the many choices that people with money have. But the reality of Latin America is quite different, and your identity and the challenges that you face are going to be an equation from whether your offer of language belongs to mandatory or non-mandatory education, depending to the age group, okay? Depending whether you are talking about language learning or teacher education, the economic situation of students, whether your education is that you offer is state or private. All the combination among these, and that there are more groups, but I didn't want the graph to be too overcomplicated. The tension among these things, okay, if you run a school, a state school for primary schools, you will have one challenge. Your identity is going to be one, and your challenge is going to be one, which is where your curriculum comes from and how you're going to negotiate the curriculum. All right, if your education is non-mandatory, but it's within, it's adult and it's within a university, you are not too much particularly affected, except on the area of international studies, okay? If your students are low income, you are always you're going to be their only resort. So what you need is to be your possible best, but you're not discussing the central role of European countries in terms of selling the product, okay? And there is another thing that I would like to add as the last thing from a Latin American perspective, that is, and what about plurilingualism? Are we going to continue teaching only English, or are we going to build language schools that call for more languages? Are we going to include original languages? I mean, Peru is one of the first countries who accepted a doctorate thesis in Quechua. What is the formal teaching? The teaching of Quechua, does it have room in the same language institutions that we have for foreign languages? Can we connect them? Do we want to? When the crisis is so big, the great thing is that we can shuffle and decide what we want to do. And this is my message today. So all free for any further questions or discussions.
Okay, we have some minutes, like about, let me see. Yeah, we have like about 5 minutes for any question, comment, something to say. As Marina said, remember, the last Sunday of October, we'll be talking about all these realities, problems, and challenges and opportunities that we have in Latin America in our different realities.
Okay.
And also, of course, in Canada and Germany.
All right.
And Emily.
Okay, thank you. And can I say something? It's
Please
about plurilingualism. Okay, the two things. If we are talking about, I heard one I think it was yesterday, I listened to somebody who said, if you are rich and speak two languages, you are classy, you're in. But if you are poor, you're out. So, and that's part of prejudices against migrants.
Absolutely. And why should we accept that? Why should we take this as true?
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. And besides, we have to consider also sign language as another part of plurilingualism. Sign language is in Ecuador, it's going to be, and it's a good thing, it's going to be kind of mandatory. I don't know if it's this year, next year, but nobody has prepared teachers to teach sign language.
Well, there is a policy. In our language school, we teach Lengua de Señas Argentina. And we have a team of a deaf instructor and a linguist. It's the only language that we teach in pairs. Okay.
Yeah, but
it is part.
The public policy and the private university used to teach. There is this courses for people, for preparing people for teaching sign language, but it's for private institutions, for private business, not for public teachers. And that's the idea, as you said. This is a matter of business. And it's another way to do that. It's just another kind of, remember like 20 years ago, we have the whole language approach.
Yeah.
That was sent to Latin America from California. And why? Because they tried to do that in the US. They couldn't do it. They sent it to Latin America because they had a huge amount of books they couldn't sell. Because that approach didn't work out.
That's why we need to discuss, I mean, a business can be a good business. It's not necessarily bad. The problem is if we don't react and if we buy anything. I mean, one of the dangers that I have seen lately is in these people who want to sell distance packages, that they start using words, terms that are very dear to us, and they use them for marketing purposes, namely inclusion and diversity. And in the moment that you ask, like, what do you mean by inclusion? Did you talk with the people in the country about the kind of curriculum? No, well, it would be too expensive. So then don't use the term inclusion. So we need to be ready and we need to stand to create a dialogue and not to buy their leftovers.
Eugenia Inés Carrión Cantón has something to say too.
Good morning to everyone. I'm sorry I was
lovely
late.
Friend.
Oh my God. Well, I'm thrilled by this presentation and I want to thank you, Marina, to bring this discussion to the ELT world and the Latin American view, right, of this. Here in Argentina, we are few, right? We teachers that are working under this umbrella terms and to make room, we may say, for the Latin American perspective and discussion about the ELT. So I think that it is a way, this is a great contribution and a way to the democratization of teaching of foreign languages, and in this case of English. My humble contribution to this would be, right, just to focus on the raising awareness at the level of teacher education. In my opinion, right, there is a great deal for things to change if we start there, right? In the way we...
I'm losing you.
Yes, can you listen to me? Yes, can you listen to me?
Yes,
great, okay. Right, I am just at the end of the world, that's why, in Tierra del Fuego in Argentina. Okay, so I was just saying that, I mean, everything we can do to change the perspective in teacher education will contribute to this, focusing on the teaching more than the expertise of the language, focusing on the importance of building community, as Marina was saying, and at the same time, let's say, not forget that teachers are also, teachers have this political role that is so important to see the world through our country's eyes and to contribute to the global community. Just saying that. Thank you, Marina. It was a great presentation.
Eugenia, I couldn't agree more with you. And I have noticed something about this, this issue. When there is a conference, okay, keynote speakers are those who came from a different country in which the conference is being held. That makes absolutely no sense to me, because a conference is supposed to teach you something, and if the keynote speaker has not lived your reality, your context, then the content is going to be completely out of place. So let's start there. Teachers know the problems, teachers have found solutions, but teachers are never keynote speakers. The ones who actually know about it in a contextualized way, they do not get the chance to share it. So I think that's one of the problems, that we consider that experts in their countries will automatically be experts in other countries. It does not apply. I don't know. It makes no sense to me.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. That's why maybe one of the reasons God and somebody up there in heaven wanted us to create this space, as Edison said, it's kind of a cozy home, cozy room called Zoom, where we get together and we get together and interchange and interact and express our opinions, feelings, and everything else. Well, Marina is saying to me that the internet, her service is not good. I don't know if she will be back. Anybody else? We still have 7 more minutes. Yes, Anthony.
Yeah.
And then Raj. And then Anna. And then Roxy in Lima.
Let Miss Raj go first. Miss Raj, I want to listen to her.
Oh, well, I think thank you. I appreciate that. I am really very conscious that submission or rebellion are not going to be choices anymore. You know, we cannot continue to submit or rebel. We want to see how do we create a culture of co-creation, which is what we're doing in this Zoom, as Jaime said. So I'm inspired by the conversation and look forward to what we can co-create as a community.
Yes, that'll be, Raj, the last Sunday of October. We'll try to have somebody representing kindergartens, elementary schools, high schools, institutes, and universities to talk about what's going on in our different realities and what we can do. And as Gabriel Diaz in Uruguay and Marina Gonzalez in Argentina are doing a great job all over Latin America. So we are aware of what we are doing in our realities, not just to buy, cut, and paste and try to teach what other keynote speakers or writers write or think. Anthony, Michael.
Let's have a circle of voices. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is a wonderful presentation. You know, I've been thinking, I keep thinking about this whole thing. But as teachers too, you know, I attended a conference where somebody was saying that teachers will listen to conferences and they will not make use of what they listen to. They will keep it and continue what they are doing in classroom. I think, like I was saying before, this time or this chaotic time, this problematic time has given us the opportunity to learn some new skills. The question now is, when this is over, are we going to throw away the skills we are learning or we've learned? Because this is also part of the whole thing, because I believe that professional development is very important in the whole thing. And we cannot become good in professional development without having some certain elements of adapting to situations as teachers, as persons, as a people. I'm also a teacher, I'm not an expert. So whatever I say, I talk from experience. The question now is, some of us have learned how to use some apps, some of us have learned how to teach online. When this is over, are we going to throw it away? So this is see, this is where we will stuck at the you know, because I was suggesting to my school that we will be doing some certain things online. So let our students continue this online experience, because nobody knew that this kind of thing will come up. So this is like an opportunity for some of us to continue to develop ourselves. And I believe that this circle, this discussion, as Ms. Raj said, we can take it to a different level, even when this pandemic is over. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Anna?
I thank you, my dear Jaimito. Well, I'm really thankful with Marina. It was a wonderful presentation, wonderful conversation, because this is more a conversation and a discussion. I think that we have many things to discuss, many things to think about, to reflect, but more important, many things to do. It's really important to have in mind that this pandemic have something to teach us, and is that we are the ones who lead processes. We are like those people who are leading students. I am teacher. I've been keynote speaker, and I am teacher. I'm still teacher. That this is something that I really love, because my students inspires me to do many things and to investigate, to study many things. And this problem, this pandemic, have away depressions, many mental issues in people in general. So when you work online, when you teach online, something that we have to take care is the flexibility of the curriculum, how appropriate the curriculum is for our students, the context, and also the accessibility here in Colombia. Many universities and schools pretend to teach everything online, etc., because of this, but here in Colombia we don't have like this cover. So this is a problem, and we have to look for ways, but this is us, you know, this is us, but no like the system or something. So we as teachers, we are the agents of change, as the title at the name of the conference we had the last year, but also we are humans too, so we have to take care of us and take care of our students, physically and mental.
And talking about great human beings, Marina is back.
Yes!
Thank Marina. You see, people don't want to go. Marina,
that's great.
My dear, Kitty.
What?
I love you.
Love you too.
I May, you want to take a picture?
I love you too, Marina.
Yeah. Could you please switch on your cameras so we can take a picture of our beautiful faces, eyes, noses, mouths, and hair?
I'm here in Bogota, and it's so cold.
Don't worry. It'll soon be over. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, it's done. Anybody else? We have 1 more minute. Anything else to say? Before we go, thank you, Roxy. Yes, I remember. Next Sunday, we'll have Ana Cotes from Colombia.
Me.
Okay, she will be talking about
growth mindset in times, in pandemic or something like that. Yes.
The topic is cultivating a growth mindset for teachers to manage emotions in difficult times with difficult managers.
Yes.
So it's the other side.
No, not difficult manager. Okay, yeah, Roxy in Lima.
Yes, I wanted to add some words about these sharing opportunities we have been having these last Sundays. Sometimes happens that when we express our problems, then after we think about those and we think that they are less than they used to be, because we are not the only one in the situation. There are many people who are in this situation, and here we have the opportunity to share, to learn from others, to take and to give. This opportunity of being teachers, I consider is a great gift that we have. We are taking from each other, we are giving what we know. And what Marina said before is not to overload our teachers, but to dosify and to give them what they exactly need. We have a strength, we have weaknesses, we have opportunities, we have a lot of things in this process. When Edson talks about all the problems about the management, I would like them to have probably a survey once, and then all teachers would have the possibility to express their own ideas. Probably the management that they have in their companies is that the managers are just managers. And as Rach said, they are no leaders. They're not part of the problem. We have to be part of that. I am a manager in a company that I work for, and one of the conditions for accepting this position was, I want to continue teaching. So I never ask my teachers something I have not ever tried before. I do something, it works, I tell my teachers to do it. If I do something, it doesn't work, I never ask them to do it. We have to be part of that. We are not to be just like a satellite, just observing. That doesn't work.
That is something
part of that.
That is something really beautiful, fair, and human. If you are going to ask me to do something, you first do it.
Exactly.
And then
exactly.
you will understand how I feel.
That's it.
Yeah,
I love working for the company I do because they gave me this opportunity. It's a way of learning. It's a way of putting it into practice, adopting and adapting, as somebody said before. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. But we have to understand every single teacher, humanistic part. First, the humanistic part. There's a person behind a teacher. There's not a machine. It's not a robot. It's not something that has to be forgotten. And as Marina has mentioned in this lovely workshop, is that we now are more involved than we used to be involved before. We have to be dealing with a lot of things at home, with our family, with our children, with our own job. And our job as a teacher is endless. We know when it starts. We never know when it's going to be finished. But we have decided that. So what we have to do, I think, is to put everything all together and like a shuffle and say, okay, I'm going to take this today. It works, I will continue with this. It doesn't, I will change it. Be part of the problem is being also the solution. We are the ones who are dealing with this. Just I wanted to thank very much Marina first, Jaime, and all the people who are giving our Sundays. It's our relaxing time. But it's this opportunity that we have all together to be here makes us really important because we know what we really want. We know what we're looking for. And Edison's, Anthony's, Valeria, everybody who is present here, your problems are our problems. And we are going to be working together to make it a lot better. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I feel really, really happy being here, guys.
Thank you, Roxana.
Well,
okay, final words, Marina. You see what you have created? Chaos.
Great chaos, though.
No,
exactly.
Jaime is the one to blame. Jaime is the one.
Yes. And also you, because you are the followers.
You have to point someone is Jaime.
Final words, Marina, because
there is a difference.
Mom's waiting. Mom's waiting.
You know, Jaime, I would like to suggest something. This is a treasure, so we cannot miss the opportunity to actually make it into something in our chat. It would be a good idea for whomever wants to do it, to write a reflection about the meeting. That means, okay, what did I get? How, okay, this is something I would adopt, and this is how I would adapt it. So we initiate a real learning process. Is going to be the linking, the recalling, and reflecting, and creating, and applying to different contexts. I think that would be awesome. I don't know if people
Excellent
agree.
idea, Rosemary. And as president of this association, I nominate you. I nominate you to start with the first paper. A 150 word
management.
Yes, I'm doing classroom management. Yeah, great idea, Rosemary. Great idea. Maybe one
something
of us.
Can I say
This Edison and then Marina.
One thing I was suggesting is that I've been okay. I started as a teacher assistant, and then ended up as a director of a school of languages, and then but it took me 30 years. So that's but I never stopped. Even I had the right to do that. I never stopped teaching. I continued with my classes, even when I was the director. But then what I did is that the worst and best the people who criticize the most and the best is in the best way are we teachers. One teacher criticizes or praises the other teacher. So in order to build a community, what I did was to implement a series of talks. So we had our in-house teaching training by ourselves. And I had only 6 things, 5 things, 3 things a day. They were at the same time with 5, 6, 7 teachers. Actually, I managed like 72 teachers, English teachers, because there were like 100 or something with all the languages we used to teach. But then that was working. And after we did this like at the beginning of 2 semesters, then many people have lost their stage fear, and they wanted to present in bigger audiences because they received feedback, good and bad. But then they saw that they were capable of doing this kind of thing. And that's sometimes what we need as teachers. I was forced by my ex-boss to say this: you are my assistant. Now you are going to prepare a workshop for 1 hour and a half. And I was as I said, the newbie. And then I had to do that in front of teachers with 20, 25 years of experience, high class people. Besides, because it was the highest, the first university I used to work in Ecuador. And then it made me feel better. So that's the thing. I think in your institutions, what you have to do is take all those good practices, because you have to teach for 30 minutes, but what worked well with you. Bring your worksheets, bring everything, how to teach present perfect, how to teach anything, and teach it. Show it, give me a little plan, a small thing, objective things, and that's it. And it worked well. And now you can do that by online thing at some point, not at 10 p.m., but, and then you can do that also. Now, I think that is a good way for us to get some feedback, some ideas, because sometimes we think we're doing excellent and sometimes we are not. On the opposite, we think my students are not learning anything, but then in the end, that is actually happening. They are learning, and that's the idea is to have more confidence in ourselves, and that is a biggest problem because managers have undermined our confidence. Systems have undermined, politics have undermined our self-confidence. We were teachers before. Why aren't we teachers now? So what that you see, so we have to change that. And that is one of the things we have gotten from this kind of meeting, these meetings that you decided to start.
Thank you very much, Eddie Santa Cruz. By the way, Edison Santa Cruz will be one of our keynote speakers in August. In August, I guess, Edison? Yeah, I guess. And by the way, I have just written in the chat, if you are not part of our WhatsApp group and you want to be informed and aware and conscious of everything we do, just become a member of our WhatsApp group. The link is in the chat. And now we have Marina's final words because it's Sunday and life goes on after, after this wonderful meeting. This is the paradise.
Great. I just want to thank you all for sharing. I think that it's a great space. This idea and related to something that Edison said, it's his practices. I know of a very interesting experience that Eugenia does in Tierra del Fuego with the teacher training students. That is also, they are all cases of empowerment. And summarizing this, I think that if we stop taking for granted messages that are given and we think and we recreate messages, then this is our future. So I hope that this is what, and this is something that you are doing in this Sunday meeting. So it's been a pleasure, and I hope this is not, that we will continue sharing spaces. I promise to be some Sundays connected. The thing is that it's almost midday for me, so it's lunchtime and it's kind of complicated, but I can hear. Probably not with the camera on, but I can listen. Absolutely.
Okay, and for many in
So
Peru, it's cooking time. Right, Ruben? He has
Yeah,
to cook.
sure.
And after doing the washing up. So thank you, Marina. Thank you, Edison, Roxana, Valeria, Judy, Anthony, Emily in Mexico, Ana in Colombia, Teresa, Aura, Marisol, Lucy, Marina Mora, Tania, Rosemary in Bolivia, EFL, Edson, Eugenia, Cynthia, Bruce, and everyone in Facebook Live. Thank you. Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Take care.
I love the flag. Bye.
Happy Independence
Very
Day.
nice, the flag, Peruvian flag.
Feliz 28 el martes.
Right.
Happy anniversary, 28th of July.
Yes,
Yeah.
Peru.
Peruvian.
Happy anniversary, Peru.
Thank you, Marina. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
on Zoom. See you on Zoom. See you on Zoom.
See you.